Okay, just take a second and look around you right now. See your phone, that coffee mug, the shirt on your back? Have you ever really stopped to think about how that stuff actually got to you? I mean, from a factory that could be halfway across the planet? Because when you start to think about it, you realize there's this huge, incredibly complicated world of giant ships, cargo planes, bustling ports, and just mountains of paperwork. It seems almost impossible, right? How does any of it ever get from point A to point B? Well, it turns out there is an answer. There's a specialist, a kind of mastermind, who orchestrates this whole thing. They're like the conductor of a massive global orchestra. And that specialist is the freight forwarder. They are the secret engine that really makes our modern world work. All right, so let's get into it. What exactly is this giant global shipping puzzle that freight forwarders have to solve day in and day out? Let's break it down. Okay, put yourself in this situation. Let's say you run a business and you just made, 1,000 of your products in a factory in Vietnam to sell in Europe. You're not going to pick up the phone and call a shipping line yourself or try to book space on a cargo plane. Can you imagine? It would be a total nightmare. No, instead, you call a freight forwarder. They become your one-stop shop, your single point of contact to handle that whole tangled mess for you. So, how does our conductor get the orchestra ready to play? Well, just like any big performance, it all starts with a really, really detailed plan. First things first, they need all the details, and I mean all of them. The forwarder has to know exactly what the shipment is, how much it weighs, how big it is, and of course, where it's coming from and where it's going. You've got these key documents, like the commercial invoice and the packing list. Think of them like the passport and ID for your cargo. They are absolutely essential right from the get-go. Okay, once they have all that info, it's time for the first big decision. How are we gonna ship this thing? By air or by sea? And really, it boils down to that classic trade-off, speed versus cost. Air freight is super fast, which is great for stuff that's urgent or really valuable, but man, it's expensive. Sea freight, on the other hand, is the workhorse. It's way, way cheaper, perfect for big, heavy stuff, but you gotta be patient. It's definitely a marathon, not a sprint. And if you do go with sea freight, there's another choice to make. It's all about how much stuff you have. If you've got enough cargo to fill up a whole shipping container, you'll go with what's called FCL, or full container load. Your stuff, your container. Simple. But what if you don't? Well, that's where LCL, or less than container load, is kind of genius. You basically share a container and the cost with a bunch of other people's shipments. Super efficient. All right, so the plan is set. Now the forwarder goes to work, using their connections to book space on a ship or a plane. And this isn't like booking a flight on some website. They're negotiating rates, locking in schedules, because in this world, every single deadline is critical. If you miss one cutoff, it can set off a whole domino effect of delays and extra costs. It's high-stakes stuff. Okay, now we get to what is honestly the trickiest part of this whole thing. This is where a lot can go wrong. We're talking about the absolute mountain of paperwork and getting through customs. And let me be super clear about this. If that paperwork isn't 100% perfect, your shipment just stops. It's dead in the water. Customs officials do not play around. One tiny mistake, and your goods could be stuck in a port for weeks, racking up insane storage fees. This, right here, is where a great freight forwarder earns their keep. Their expertise is literally worth its weight in gold. When you're shipping by sea, the most important document, the king of all documents really, is the bill of lading. It's like the deed to a house, a receipt, and a contract all rolled into one. You absolutely cannot move or claim your cargo without it, period. And for air freight, the equivalent is called an airway bill. It does pretty much the same job, just, for planes instead of boats. Simple as that. So getting the stuff out of the country is like a carefully choreographed dance. Step 1, the forwarder arranges for the goods to be picked up from the factory. Step 2, they get all that critical paperwork in order. Step 3, they get the green light from the local customs office to export. And finally, step 4, they make sure everything is loaded safely onto the ship or plane. Boom, 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 boom. All right, the cargo is finally on the move. It's crossing an ocean or flying through the sky. But the freight forwarder's job, oh, it is far from done. Now they have to manage the journey itself. While your shipment is in transit, the forwarder is basically your eyes and ears. They're giving you tracking updates so you know where it is, but more importantly, they're your problem solver.
A storm pops up, a port is suddenly congested, the forwarder is the one on the phone, dealing with it, rerouting things if they have to, and keeping you in the loop. So after weeks at sea or hours in the air, the shipment arrives. And now the whole process basically happens again, just in reverse. The forwarders team at the destination port takes over, they submit all the paperwork to import customs, they handle paying any taxes or duties, and once everything is cleared, they arrange for that final, crucial last-mile delivery right to the customer's doorstep.
Okay, so we've seen the step-by-step. It's a lot, right? But now let's zoom out a bit. Why are freight forwarders so important? What makes them so essential to, well, everything? So, how do they actually make money? Well, it's a mix of things. They make a bit of a margin on the actual shipping cost, sure, but a big chunk of their income comes from charging fees for all those services we talked about, handling the documents, managing the cargo, all the coordination, all that expert work. But really, their true value isn't just about moving a box from A to B. It's about their expertise. They know how to navigate this incredibly complex global system. For a business, a good forwarder saves them time. They lower the risk of something going terribly wrong, and they prevent those tiny mistakes that can end up costing a fortune. When you boil it all down, freight forwarders are the glue that holds global supply chains together. That's not an exaggeration. Without them, the system that brings us pretty much everything we own would slow down and, honestly, probably grind to a halt. They are the invisible, essential backbone of global trade. So, hey, the next time you open up a new phone or you're drinking coffee that came from halfway around the world, maybe you'll think about that hidden journey. You'll know about the conductor who made it all happen. And it leaves us with a pretty interesting question, doesn't it? As global trade gets even faster and even more complex, what does the freight forwarder of the future even look like?